Most people think changing your life means doing more. Work harder, build more habits, buy more things. Pack your days until there's no room left to breathe. But after years spent with Japanese philosophy, the quiet discipline of the samurai, the stillness of Zen monks, you start to see it differently. Real change rarely comes from adding. It comes from releasing. The Japanese have a word for this, tebanasu, to let go from your hands. When you release what no longer serves you, you make room for what actually matters. So here are 12 things you can let go of, ideas that have been lived in Japan for centuries. May they bring you the same quiet they brought so many others. 1. The overfilled schedule. There's a concept in Japanese art called yohaku, the empty white space in a painting. Look at an old ink drawing and you'll notice how much of the paper is left blank. That emptiness isn't laziness or a mistake. It's one of the most important parts of the work. It gives your eyes somewhere to rest. It lets your imagination move. It creates a calm that would be impossible if every inch were crowded with detail. Your days work the same way. When every hour is claimed, when every moment belongs to something, you lose the ability to think clearly. You lose the simple pleasure of doing something just because you feel like it. You become a painting so packed with detail that looking at it only makes you tired. So leave some blocks empty. Don't fill them with goals. Just leave them open. Sometimes you'll take a slow walk. Sometimes you'll make tea and drink it without rushing. Sometimes you'll do nothing at all, and that's perfectly fine. This one small practice can bring you more peace than any productivity system ever will. And here's the surprise. It makes your work better too. When the rest between your efforts is real, both the rest and the effort start to mean something. If your days feel heavy, don't try to fix it by adding another technique. 2. The endless scrolling. The samurai practiced zanshin, a state of calm, complete awareness. After a strike, the warrior didn't drop his guard and let his mind drift. He stayed present, alert, ready for whatever came next. Modern life works against that. Your phone shatters your attention into tiny pieces. You scroll with no purpose. You look without really seeing. You lose hours you can't even remember. So take those apps off your home screen. It sounds small, but it changes everything. The pull is still there, but the easy trigger is gone. When you actually have to search for the app instead of tapping it on instinct, you often realize you didn't want it at all. There's an old idea: keep something out of sight and it stays out of mind. You don't walk past the gambling hall. You don't feel pulled inside. You don't see the icon every time you pick up your phone. You stop reaching for it without thinking. Do this and your mind gets quieter. Other people's noise stops drowning out your own thoughts. You get back the ability to sit alone with yourself in comfortable silence. So if you keep scrolling when you don't even want to, don't fight it with willpower. Just remove the trigger. Put some distance between yourself and the pull. 3. The clutter in your kitchen. Imagine visiting someone whose kitchen is almost empty. One pot, one pan, one good knife, a few simple tools. At first you'd think it strange. How could anyone cook well with so little? But then you watch them make dinner, and everything shifts. They never dig through drawers looking for the right tool. They never weigh one gadget against another. Every movement flows into the next, almost like a dance. It's the spirit of the tea ceremony, where every object has a purpose and every motion has meaning. Nothing wasted, nothing extra. The beauty is the simplicity itself. So start letting go of the tools you never reach for, the clever gadgets that seemed like a good idea once, the duplicates you've gathered over the years, the things you bought thinking you might use them someday, and never did. What's left is simplicity, and inside that simplicity you'll find something you didn't expect. You'll find joy. Cooking becomes calm instead of stressful. Fewer choices means less energy spent on small decisions. And when your space is clear, your mind feels clear too. 4. Reading without doing. For a long time, you might believe that reading more will make your life better. So you read constantly, always chasing the next great insight, the next powerful technique. Your shelves fill with wisdom you've taken in but never used. There's a Japanese principle for this, Chigyo Goitsu. Knowing and doing must become one. Knowledge without action is unfinished. Understanding something in your head without ever living it is worth almost nothing. So stop buying new books for a while. Read the important ones again. The first time through, you feel satisfied just learning something new. The second time, you notice what you'd already forgotten. By the third or fourth reading, you start to feel a little ashamed that you still haven't done anything with it. And finally, you act. The samurai didn't learn the sword by reading about it. They repeated the same movements thousands of times until those movements lived in their body. The monk doesn't just read about peace. He sits day after day until understanding becomes real. If your shelves are full of wisdom you've never applied, maybe you don't need more books. Maybe you need to go deeper into the ones you already have. Pick a few that truly speak to you and read them until you can't help but act. 5. The heavy things you carry. When you're loaded down, you don't want to move. When you're light, moving feels natural, even good. Picture arriving in a beautiful new city with bags so heavy your shoulders ache and your back hurts. You don't feel like exploring. You just want to set everything down and rest. But the moment you drop those bags at your room, your whole mood lifts. Suddenly, you're ready for anything. It's the same in everyday life, not just travel. The things you own become weight you carry all the time. Heavy shoes make you less likely to walk. A cluttered room makes you less likely to invite friends over. Too many commitments make you less likely to start anything new. So start setting down the heavy things. Shoes that tire your feet. Objects with no real purpose. Responsibilities that drain you and give nothing back. You'll find that lightness makes action easy. When moving feels effortless, you move more. When starting doesn't feel like a burden, you start more often. The samurai knew this. A warrior weighed down with useless gear can't respond when it counts. Only someone who travels light can move with speed and grace. 6. Staying up late. The samurai rose before the sun, not just for discipline's sake. They knew the early hours have a quality the evening can't match. At night, after a long day has worn down your energy and your willpower, you're far more vulnerable. The self-control you had in the morning is spent. It becomes so easy to slip into mindless habits, scrolling your phone, watching shows you don't even care about. For most people, staying up late just turns into wasted time. So go to sleep earlier, sometimes much earlier. It might sound like the schedule of someone much older, but the change can be remarkable. When you wake before the world stirs, your mind is fresh and clear. The hours you used to lose to late-night scrolling become hours of creating and quiet. You write in the silence. You walk under the stars. You sit with tea and watch the sky turn slowly from dark to light. The number of hours in your day stays the same, but by moving your real life into the morning, you take back the hours that tiredness was stealing. If your evenings keep disappearing into things that don't matter to you, trade those late hours for early ones. You might be surprised how good the exchange feels. 7. Too many choices in your closet. Maybe every morning you stand in front of your closet and feel a small, real exhaustion before the day has even begun. What should you wear? Does this go with that? Where did you put the thing you wanted? Tiny decisions that add up to something heavier than they look. Zen monks wear the same simple robes every day. The samurai had their formal clothes and their training clothes, and that was about it. Neither spent a drop of energy on variety for its own sake. So simplify. Bring your wardrobe down to a few categories, in colors that all work together. Everything matches everything. You stop deciding. You just get dressed and move on to what actually matters. This isn't about depriving yourself of nice things. It's about freeing yourself from pointless mental work. Every small choice you remove leaves room in your mind for the choices that count. The little stress you used to feel each morning simply disappears. If getting dressed causes you hesitation and frustration, simplify until it doesn't. Keep what you actually wear and let the rest find a new home. 8. Comparing yourself to other people. There's a Zen phrase to return to whenever envy starts to rise. Taru wo shiru. To know what is enough. To recognize that what you already have is enough for a good life. Comparing yourself to others is probably the fastest, most reliable way to make yourself miserable. No matter how much you achieve or own, there will always be someone with more. If your happiness depends on having more than the people around you, you'll never actually find it. The practice is simple, but it asks you to pay attention. When you catch yourself comparing, stop for a moment. Turn your focus away from what you lack toward what you already hold. Your health, the people who love you, the small, beautiful things in an ordinary day. Picture walking along and feeling a flash of envy towards someone moving easily while your own body aches. And then looking down and feeling genuine gratitude for the good boots on your feet. In that moment, the envy dissolves, and something gentler takes its place. That's how you try to live, not chasing more than others, just recognizing that what you have is already enough. 9. Spending time with negative people. In Japan, they say 3 things shape your life more than anything else. The people you spend time with, how you spend your time, and the spaces where you live and work. Of the 3, the people may be the most powerful of all. The samurai were careful about who they kept close. They knew that moods and emotions spread from one person to the next like fire. Courage is contagious, but so is fear. Hope spreads easily, but so does despair. This doesn't make negative people bad people. They're often carrying difficulties you can't see. But spending too much time around constant complaint and criticism leaves you drained and dim inside. So slowly, and with respect, create some distance from the relationships that keep pulling your spirit down. Seek out the people whose presence makes you feel more alive, more hopeful. This isn't cruelty or selfishness, it's wisdom. You can't help anyone if you let their darkness put out your own light. Tend your own flame first, so it can bring warmth to the people who truly need it. 10. Saying yes to everything. For years, maybe you say yes to every invitation, every request. You think it makes you a good friend, a helpful person. Every party, every gathering, every favor, you agree. It's fun in some ways, but slowly you notice there's never any time left for you. Your hours and your energy keep flowing outward until nothing remains for your own life, your own dreams. There's a simple way to decide. When someone asks something of you, notice how you feel inside. If it's genuine excitement, something close to, "Yes, I'd really love that," then agree. If it's anything less, gently say no. It might sound selfish at first, but think about what happens when you say yes to things you don't want to do. You show up reluctant. You give without your full heart. Resentment quietly builds. Nobody gains from that kind of half-present yes. The samurai understood duty deeply, but they also knew that a warrior who tries to protect everything protects nothing. Sometimes the most honorable choice is to decline one thing, so you can show up completely for what truly matters. 11. Holding on to the past. Over the years, you gather objects that hold your memories. Gifts from people you loved. Souvenirs from places you've been. Things that tie you to who you used to be. These are the hardest to release. Letting them go can feel like letting go of the memory itself. But the Zen teachers remind us that attachment is the root of suffering. Clinging to the past keeps you from being fully here, in the life you're living right now. So imagine letting go of most of those sentimental things and discovering that nothing bad happens. The memories don't vanish. They still live in your heart, completely apart from the objects you used to keep. What you gain is freedom from the weight of yesterday. While you're lost in the past, you're missing your life in the present. The time you spend sorting through old things and dwelling on old days is time you're not spending becoming who you might still become. The past already had your full attention once. That's what this moment is for. Now is the only time that truly needs you. 12. Speaking negative words. In Japan, there's a belief called kotodama, the spirit that lives inside words. The idea that what you say carries real power. Your words don't just describe the world around you, they help create it. When you keep saying things like, "This is hopeless," or "I can't do this," or "Everything always goes wrong for me," you send that energy out, and somehow it comes back to you stronger. The philosopher Nakamura Tempu taught that if you want your life to change, you have to remove negative words from your mind completely. This might be the hardest practice of all. The negative words come out so automatically, Complaints form before you even notice. Criticism leaves your mouth far more easily than praise. But the change is real. When you feel a negative phrase taking shape, pause. Find another way to say it, or stay quiet. Over time, your inner world shifts towards something lighter, calmer. The samurai chose their words carefully because they believed the way a person speaks reveals who they really are. Careless, bitter talk comes from a careless, bitter spirit. What you say matters more than you think, so speak as though your words will come true, because in so many ways they will. These 12 changes won't make your life perfect. Hardships still come. Challenges still appear. That's simply what it means to be human. But by letting go, you create space. Space in your schedule, space in your home, space in your mind. And inside that space, you find something you weren't expecting. You find peace. The samurai and the Zen masters understood that we suffer not because we have too little, but because we hold on too tightly. When you loosen your grip, you often discover you already had everything you needed. As a new year draws closer, maybe you choose just one thing from this list to release. Just one. Thank you for staying with me to the end. May your year be filled with lightness, clarity, and peace. Take good care of yourself.